and welcome back to another 4 Looks 1 palette, or if you're new, welcome to your very first 4 Looks 1 palette. This is a video series that I have been doing for a long time. So long, in fact, that this is my 40th 4 Looks 1 palette. Can you even believe it? These are probably my favorite videos to film. They take the longest and probably are the most work, but I really enjoy them. It really helps you get into a palette and that sort of thing. So I won't make this intro too long because I really kind of want to focus on the fact that I'm collaborating with a good friend of mine, Jen from Jen Loves Reviews. If you guys aren't familiar with her, please check her out. She is one of the sweetest, most honest people on YouTube. And a while ago, gosh, I feel like it's been almost a year now, she started a series called What's Up in Makeup. And she not only did she start a series, but she also started a community. She has an app and that sort of thing. But I just think the What's Up in Makeup video, which she puts out once a week on Sundays, telling about everything that's happened in the last week, it's like a news broadcast. It's just genius. And it's just really, it's a really, really good, very unique. It's hard to find unique ideas on YouTube, and I think that she has really kind of nailed one there. And so I do hope that you guys check her out, as well as checking out her 4 Looks 1 palette. And talking about collabing, and we just thought this was the perfect opportunity. She and I met at IMATS finally in person for the first time back in April, and it was like two people who have been friends forever, just meeting back up again. So it didn't feel like I was meeting her for the first time. We just really clicked, and it was really, really neat. So at any rate, I won't make this intro any longer, but I really want you guys to check her out if you're not familiar with her. I really think that you will appreciate her and her honesty and her kindness and just her approach to things. So having said all of that, the palette that we decided to do is the Makeup Revolution. I'm wiping finger smudges off of this. The Makeup Revolution Salvation palette. And this also says Girls on Film. So I'm just going to show you this because I'm not sure what the actual legit name of this is. And it looks like that. So for the first look, there are no shade names on here, so I will just have to point. I use this on the inner third and outer third, and I use that on the middle third. And then I took kind of a combination of these two shades right here. This one was just a little bit dark. This was too light for transition. So I kind of combined those two and transitioned that my crease up. Then I used this on my brow bone. I also took a little bit of that darker shade beneath my lower lash line, and I wet a liner brush, and I used it as my liner on my upper lash line. I didn't want a really stark liner up there, so I just used, again, this shade right here, the same shade that I used on my inner and outer third, on a wet liner brush, and just moved that along my lash line just for a little bit of definition. So let me zoom you in. Okay, so here's the look. All right, on my cheeks, I have a few Makeup Revolution blushes from my friend Lorna, so I decided to go ahead and use them. So these, I'm not sure are available here, but at any rate, this is the one in Treat, so it kind of has a peachy look to it. Not kind of, it actually is peach. And then on my lips, I used one of my longtime favorites, the Essence All About Cupcake, I think it is. All About Cupcake, which looks like this. I just wanted a little bit more peachiness to it, so I pulled out my NYX Butter Gloss in Maple Blondie, and that's what's on my lips. For my second look, it was kind of one of those days where I went in for a simple eye and a smoky eye broke out. Sometimes that happens. So what I did was I took this shade right here on the inner third of my eye, and then I took the shade just above it, which looks a lot darker in pan than it shows up on the eye, on my middle third. And then I took this matte, cool brown shade here on the outer corner, and I pulled that up and went a little bit higher up into the crease. I used this shade right here as a transition. And then I used this one right here. These are all mattes, by the way. The round ones are all mattes. I used that as my brow bone highlight. And then I actually used the same, I'll show you, 217 brush to pull that matte shade beneath my lower lash line because I wanted it a little more kind of blown out, smoky. I don't know. It's just what happened today. So that's what I did there. And then I used that other kind of lighter transition shade right here. I used that on the kind of inner third of my lower lash line. Pulled that shimmer shade down a little bit. You'll see when I zoom in. One sort of disclaimer, I was going to put on some lashes today. I have these new lashes from House of Lashes, and they're the Fairy, let me see. Called the Noir Fairy, but in the light version, but it's my first kind of try with the House of lashes. And they don't bend very well. They don't stay. And so I ended up taking them off and attempting to fix this eye. So if this eye looks a little bit janky, you'll know why. So let me zoom you in. Okay, so here's the look. All right, so that's everything on my eyes, except I want to have a quick disclaimer. Normally at the end of the video, I will tell you the mascara that I've worn for all 4 looks. I have switched up what mascara I am using. In yesterday's look, in case you're curious, it was the Charlotte Tilbury Full Fat Lashes mascara. And while I like how that performs, it flakes crazy, like crazy on me. So there'll be more on that mascara madness at the end of the quarter. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I've switched that up and have gone back for the rest of this video to the IT Cosmetics Superhero, just so that we're all on the same page. All right, for blush, I am using the Makeup Revolution Ultra Blush Palette, and it's in the one in All About Cream. So I use this. I don't use a cream blush very often, but I use this one right here. And then I sort of set that also with the Revolution blush in Wow, which looks like that. Kind of trying to make sure that shows up true to color there. On my lips, I use the Tarte Rainforest one in Cabana Boy. And then over the top of that, I used a little Buxom White Russian. For my third look, I used this beautiful lilac-y purpley shade right here. I used that all over the lid. I blended it out with this matte, really light lilac-y lavendery shade. And then to deepen things up in the outer corner, I used this shade right here, which is a really kind of deep charcoal color. For my lower lash line, I did a combination. I didn't want it to be as dark as that one, but I wanted it to have a little shimmer. So I combined this shade right here and this shade right here, and that's what I used on my lower lash line. And then on my inner corner and brow bone, I did a combination of these 2 shades together. This one just didn't have enough shimmer to it. This one was a little too dark, so, you know, I just make my own shade. Also on my eyes, I have the Stila Kajal in Smoky Quartz, which looks like that sort of shade. I have that on my upper lash line and upper waterline. And I think that's everything. So let me zoom you in. So here's the look. For blush today, I used the Makeup Revolution blush in Sugar, which looks like that. And then on my lips, I kind of wanted a nude lip today. I don't know. I felt like my eyes were just a little much for a bright blush. So I used the Too Faced Perfect Lip Pencil, which is just, there's no shade. It's just this. Looks like that. And then over the top of that, I used the Bobbi Brown lipstick, which I'm just loving, in Almost Pink. All right, for the fourth look, I went with some of the gray tones. First I used this shade right here all over my lid. And then in the crease, I used this kind of as a transition shade. And then I deepened things up with this shade right here. So this is obviously a gray. And this, while it may look on the viewfinder as if it is black, it's really more like a charcoal gray. I think I may have mentioned that earlier this week. And then I took this shade right here with a little shimmer beneath my lower lash line and deepened up the outer corner with that, the outer corner of my lower lash line. I deepened that up. So let me zoom you in. All right, so here's the look. The only other thing I forgot to mention is on my upper lash line, I used this brush, which is kind of a little smudge brush, but it has a little more fluff to it. It's the Sephora Pro Shader number 18. I used that on my upper lash line and took kind of a combination of this shade right here and then that shade right there, just to kind of give a little definition to that line. And then I tight lined with the Marc Jacobs Blacker. All right, time for some swatches. They don't have names, so I'm just going to start as it looks to you, the bottom row, my left to right. So there are the first 4 shades, and those are the last 2. Well, I'll just number them 1 through 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll continue on the bottom. This would be 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's that second row, first 4 left to right. So that would be 11 and 12. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. The next is going to be the bottom matte row. we'll start over. That's the first, second, third, and fourth, fifth, and sixth. All right, so that's the bottom row of mattes. All right, so this palette sells for $10 from Ulta. That's where I purchased mine. And I think Makeup Revolution may have a site as well. I will find what I can, of course, and link below for you. But I think it's the most easily accessible for those of us in the States at Ulta. And I know that Makeup Revolution has been around in other countries for a really long time, but it's newish to the States. I have to say I'm pretty impressed with these. The pigmentation is good on most of them. The only one I was a little disappointed with, and I ended up not using it, was this shade right here. I kind of was hoping it would be more of that, and that's swatched right there. I was hoping it would pull in the pan. Looks like there's gonna be like an antique gold, but with a little shift of green. And it doesn't really come across exactly like that, but you know, it's just more of a shade thing. I did notice that some of them, when you swatch them, they look a little bit darker in pan than they do on your eye or on the swatch here. So just kind of keep that in mind. As far as quality-wise, I'm most impressed with the mattes. I felt like the mattes performed really well. I think it's a little bit easier to get a less expensive shimmer shade than it is a less expensive matte shade to perform well. So I do think that they performed very well and went on the eyes well, blended against each other well. My only issue really is that they kind of start to disappear, and they did crease on me, not horribly. I used the same primer on my eyes as I always do, which is the Urban Decay Primer Potion, and then I use MAC Painterly Paint Pot over the top of that. So I didn't change anything there. I just really noticed the creasing was just a little bit, but fading. And I'm not sure, I'll be interested to hear if Jen had the same experience with this or not. I really noticed fading after probably 6 hours. So on the day when I did kind of the bright pop in the center and the darker on either side, sort of by midday, it was starting to all kind of blend into one shade. So I found that interesting. Again, these are $10, so it's not like I should be expecting great things. I do think it's a great option from the drugstore. Like I said, I was really impressed with the pigmentation on most of them. The standout shades for me were definitely these two right here. I really enjoyed this shade. And I used this a couple of different ways before I filmed, and then you saw the way I used it. And that shade is right here. And then that sort of lavendery purple shade, that worked really well. I was convinced, I just hit my elbow. I was convinced that I was going to have to wet my brush and use it that way on my eye, and I didn't have to do that at all. It had great pigmentation right off the bat. So I do think this is a great palette. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing one. I haven't done a ton from the drugstore, but please go ahead and check out my playlist of apparently 40 now with this one. It's just so crazy to me. I do think this is a nice palette for $10. I don't really have any complaints about that. I didn't, it wasn't like I paid $100 for it and then had, fading issues. So I think it's a great palette. I think you should check them out. Again, I will list, Ulta below, but I'm sure like I said, those of you that are not in the States have access to it elsewhere. So you'll have to maybe kind of talk amongst yourselves in the comments if you're having trouble finding it. Maybe somebody else can help you out in a country where I don't know where you can get it. Okay, so I forgot to tell you, on the rest of my face today, I have the Makeup Revolution blush in Treat. That looks like this. And then on my lips, I just went very simple for what I have going on today. The NYX Butter Gloss and Tiramisu is all that I have on my lips. As always, I let you know what I have on the rest of my face throughout the video. Again, you guys know I've been working through using these two up. So it's the Guerlain Tenue de Perfection and the MAC Mineralized. I have those comboed. Of course, I have the Smashbox Photo Finish Powder Foundation. For contour, I use the Camp Cosmetics in Monogamy. And then for bronzer, I'm working through my MAC in Aphrodite Shell. Forgot what it was. I think that is everything. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this 40th 4 Looks 1 palette. I want to thank Jen for collaborating with me. I do hope that you guys check her out. Again, I will have her and her video listed below for you guys. And that is it. If you've been around for every 40 Looks 1 palette, I'm curious. And you'll have to let me know below if that is the case. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you're having a great day, and in everything that you do, be beautiful. Bye.